Alright, we're back. We are back in action. Alright, so I have to go and take care of a few things so that way I can just sit down and actually focus on actually just playing the game for a little bit. So, we're back. We're running some dungeons. We're just trying to get some levels. We had a dumb moment and didn't know how to fix this 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 dungeon. I don't know how I feel about it. We can try it again and see where we go with it. So, right. But we can do our in the town stuff now real quick since we're near it. Just make sure we have the maximum space. Let's see. Weapon. Yeah, we're not gonna sell. Let's see.
Let's get you offensive. What's still got some good in it?
Almost had what we needed.
What's left, you ask? There is steel. Well struck.
All right. Now we'll go onward. Man, my had a little lightheadedness too while I was off, but now we're feeling a lot better now. Got some water in me. I think I just a little dehydrated. Drink of water, kids, when it's 100 degrees outside. I live in a place that's very hot. Is this the Caribbean? Ah, okay. These are easy. So how am I doing these? These are probably one of my favorite ones to do because they're very straightforward. They just got to give me enough enemies to beat up. So we'll just go ahead and move these guys over this way. Come on. Y'all all come this way. There we go. Doesn't take too long. I think this is one of those ones where you don't have to actually, like once you clear it, you just clear it. Okay, we do have a boss here at the end. Easy. Easy, easy. The only event that I really don't like is the one where it's like, oh my gosh, you must come and save me, and all that shit. That's annoying. You have to follow the little circle. And the only reason why that one really sucks is because it's really hard to like keep track of the guy that you're trying to rescue, or like when you're trying to like move it across. It's just the game doesn't make it, super simple to track by. But you know, who's paying attention, right? All right. So we're done with bugs, and I'm pretty sure these are probably very, very popular dungeons to do, mainly for that reason. Like, the bug enemies are probably some of the easier ones to handle, because there are some enemy types that do suck balls. I am very interested to see what in-game activities that they're going to have added on into Edition as we go into like the future seasons and what the themes of it is. And when I think about like expansions, I wonder if um, expansions and seasons are going to be two separate things. I kind of just hope they just stick with this. like this format. You know why? Because season. Well, I mean, I guess the seasons aren't technically free. Um, but it probably would piss people off a lot if they were like, "Oh, we're adding this expansion to it." I mean, I guess the season. Let me take that back. The season isn't. The season is free. The battle pass, isn't. But I think that it could be a very healthy um, thing for the game to continue. I just fully believe in the path of exile approach to the game, like that model of just keep adding on to the game. If you introduce a feature in your seasons that's really popular and people really like it, and you see some positive feedback about it, then you roll it in, and the bills that come from that. Because that was kind of the thing about it. Like I think in Path of Exile had it both ways. There were some leagues where there was certain builds that were like super powerful that you had a chance to try out, and it was only available by the mechanics that were available in that league, and then they were gone. And then there are some that have stayed within the time, and I think both are okay. I don't think one way or another um, that one way of doing it's more wrong than the other. It's just kind of personal preference. But I think as long as you have gameplay variety and you have just things to do, I think people are going to be okay. Actually, I'll use that here. I think people will be okay with it. So this will give us our stun effect, the proc. It's not great, but I think it fits well with at least the leveling build. Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, gamers want activities, and you want to be able to have things that allow to test your be able to test your skill and test your build, test your skill, and I think that's really important for any. I mean, for any ARPG or any kind of these style of games. I mean, whether you're talking about a live service game like Destiny or whatever. Um, I don't know what that looks like. This game's kind of weird. I think uh, it was brought up a couple, and I've seen a couple of podcasts and videos where they talked about it. This game may have a little bit of an identity crisis in like what it ultimately is trying to be. I think Blizzard, when they talk about it in their dev streams or whatever, they're talking a lot about, oh well, it's the ARPG. Even though this game has some MMO elements to it, I think it is interesting based on like the kind of fans that it's trying to drive. I think historically Blizzard has always kind of created games that were meant to be played with groups of people, play together. Um, I mean, even when you go back to D2, I mean, it was really obvious that Diablo 2 was designed to be beaten with the party because of just all the pure immune characters that are in the hell difficulty mode, and and it was all about having a balanced group of players in order to be able to achieve the goal. But but there still was a mastery to it that, well, a really good player could go in and if you had a good build and it combined with some good skills and you just kind of knew how to get through things and you knew the layouts or enemies and all that jazz. And there was just some zones in Diablo 2 that, it just wasn't going to be friendly for your build because, I mean, like the maggot layer, I think, I mean, many of my builds were really shitty for that. um, but, it's okay. There's still a skill behind it, and I think though, if you needed help, it was very easy to get into a public game and get some help. I mean, especially with Resurrected and 2023 and Discord and Reddit and all that kind of stuff. You can always find people to play with and link up to get that stuff taken care of. So I think that's a good thing. Here, we're gonna get in that bear form. There we go. There we go. Like I said, I mean, that's decent damage. The three wolves together does get some decent damage there. Um, so I think it can be done, and this offline note. I know a lot of people talk about they want solo self-found in the game, and there's one streamer that is extremely adamant that Blizzard must put in solo self-found, or we're not gonna, or it could be the single thing that can really make fans be happy. Um, I think honestly, from a ladder perspective, I think people really do care about like solo self-found, not like speed runs, but like solo self-found pushes and races, and how people, can people get to that. So maybe like I mean, especially right now where there's not really a lot of in-game content. Maybe your when you introduce your ladder in season 3, your race to 100. I mean, I think that was a big deal for Diablo 2, is because that's all the in game really was for Diablo, was to grind to level 100. They made it very difficult, and you could get to about level, I don't know, you probably get to level 90 reasonably. I think most players, if they played their characters enough in a ladder, that they could achieve that. But that last 10-minute grind for the most hardcore was, I mean, it was hard. Ah, shit. It's a lot of eggs. You know what? Fuck it. We're gonna do it. Because why not? Oh. Well, if I had mana. Did we fix it? Okay, so we didn't get all the eggs, but that's okay. Whatever. And that's the part right here I'm talking about. I just don't think that stuff's really worth like the amount of time that we're really um, putting into it. So the Queen's Den. Yeah, we'll just walk through it. I'm pretty sure we'll figure out what we're going. Oh, the middle of the effing map. Okay. Did not realize that. If this is the end of the dungeon, this is really fast, then this is the boss. We're doing, like I said, we're doing good burst damage on the boss. I was about to say that the game had to figure out whether or not I beat it or not. All right. Yeah, if anything I say, anything that has distant on it or anything like that, it's gonna be a complete waste of time with what we're doing here. All right. Cool. That was all we had to do last time in order to get our XP. But yeah, I was an idiot. I had no clue what I had no clue what the hell I was doing. I'll be honest. All right. I wonder if that event restarted. Which it probably didn't. Okay, cool.
I need time to do that.
There you go. Oh, I guess it's not like having a portal. It's not like having a portal. Ugh. 36. So we went up. Started the day at 34, and we set our goal for the day is to hit 40. I guess it can be done. It can be done if we. The amount of XP that we're gonna get per run, getting there is probably not gonna be enough. But anyway, because we're not. This won't be a marathon tonight. This may just end up being like just about another hour's worth um, of game. I feel like we're making good speed on everything. Meanwhile, my dog is acting eager, like something great and fun is gonna happen, but he begs me like he wants to go outside, and then he's like, "I go outside." He's like, "I thought you were gonna come with me." And I'm like, "No, it's hot.
I need more
We're not going for a walk in this hot ass weather. You're gonna have to wait till it's nighttime, man. Too warm, way too warm." But anyway, so yeah, kind of going back to my rant, talking about just ways that they can, things that they can prove, like whether or not slow self-bound really needs to be in the game. I think, um, you know, I think there is a thing for it, and I think in the short term, if they really want to spice up what competitive Diablo 2 could, or excuse me, Diablo 2, Diablo 4 could look like, I think that is something that they should really consider, and I do think it will at least make like the hardcore community um, happy. But I don't know. I kind of feel like the grind. So they just kind of nerfed the grind, and I think there's a weird thing in the community that some people feel like, oh well, it's it took too long. There's a wall, and you know, um, and I think it depends on how they balance it out. So I think for like players like you, me, like I have no desire ever trying to like grind and make a character go all the way to level 100. There's really no real benefit to reaching level 100 besides, oh well, I I'm able to say that I did. And I think that's kind of the thing for all these action RPGs. There's not like a pinnacle level cap. In ARPGs, it's not like a pinnacle level cap piece of content typically, like raids or anything that test your skills the way that MMOs do. Um, but but at the same, it's just repeating this content. I think the joy I've always said with making ARPGs is you go into a league. Each league should introduce opportunities for new builds based on whatever the items that are presented. Um, based on what our items are that are presented and what mechanics that there are. It gives you a different avenue for ways to build up and level up and that kind of stuff. And that was one thing that I think that Pact of Exile does very well. And the league mechanics, the league system allowed them to kind of do that in a very like efficient way. Just being able to figure out like what challenge. And I think most leagues had like a league boss, if I'm not mistaken. or something of that nature. You know, like there was some in-game thing to that too, or you'd have something like the Delve League, which I still think was some of the most brilliant content that they ever put into their game. Just kind of having these infinite, dungeons, and the challenge was just how deep you could go, and the lights, and getting the treasure, and depending on how deep you are, the treasure gets even better. And I mean, that was a very, 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 very brilliant piece of content. Um, I still like the Delve League was really good, and I think honestly, some people actually plan their in-game goals around that, like how deep we can go into the delves versus completing the atlas. Not everybody, the process that it takes to get to the shaper, and that kind of stuff, or to fight, yeah, the whole conquerors, and that with the atlas, that stuff takes a while. But the elder and the shaper influence, and it was a very interesting thing. Well, with how Path of Exile was able to integrate a very interesting mechanic into, honestly, running maps is just like what you do in a lot of these games. You're running, this it's the equivalent of running its nightmare dungeons. You're just kind of repeating the same content over and over again. You're finding your favorite maps. You may even find your favorite map that you really like. You roll it a whole bunch, and get the affixes on it. Hopefully that get it well rolled so you can get some good stuff out of it and give good quality. Invest in those maps as you get up, right? And it was an interesting way of going. Diablo 4 is still lacking in some of these areas where there's not really like a currency system in place like it is in PoE, or even in like Diablo 2, like where there's a way to invest and improve items and quality. I think that kind of goes back to the crafting, and maybe it just is something as simple as reintroducing some form of rune words to this game. I think that would be uh, a fantastic idea. I think it would be something that's welcomed, even if people think. I mean, as long as it's executed correctly, like having the rune, or even just the runes and the rune words. Like maybe I want to combine these runes and create a unique, a special piece of gear that gives me some perks, or you know, I can use these gems because, oh, my resistances. I can just pop two rawls and give me a big chunk of fire resist in the short term. I think there was a love, there needs to be the itemization of, because, just to go ahead and say, Path of Exile definitely inspired a lot of its itemization from Diablo 2. And it's really obvious. Everything from the resistant caps to even like the stats in the game, attack rating and all these different things that you look at in the game that you look at when you're trying to figure out your character. And you know why? And why it's because Diablo 2 probably still has some of the best, I mean, probably does have the best itemization of any action RPG, and I think that still stands to this day. It doesn't mean that the other games aren't fun. And I think that's where I think a lot of the debate and a lot of the craziness really starts kicking in, from people, because people want to get a little wild with. Let's see, that's even pointless. People want to get a little wild with it because
What's left, you ask?
they're like, hey, like, well, we don't get, you know, we don't get the same out of it, and that's okay. Like they and it would be something that would require, like, honestly, like a big overhaul to the game system. I don't know if that's something that they're willing to do, or they're going to do, and that's okay. Because I mean, it's okay that this game isn't built for everybody. The Osmongols of the world, I just think the dude just doesn't really like the genre. I think half the things that he hated on in this series. All right, this dog is bugging the hell out of me, and I'm gonna let him outside. 1 second. Can't even, can't even talk and think at the same time because the dogs or the dog is being weird. Anyway, man, I felt like I was on
Better
a
than
good
starting
rant and
from
I done
nothing.
forgot what I was talking about. This is, see, this could sync well if we put that aspect on it. I might use that over this one.
What's still got some good in it?
See, we had a pulverize build. This would be excellent. Crit chance, pulverize. But if we move on to anything, it'll probably go from this build to a,
Better than starting from nothing.
while we're at it, I think is there an Oculus here? Occultus? Is it Occultus? Oculus? we're in virtual reality, right? Um, but I think the stats and the numbers really need to mean something, and I think right now
Magic
we're
is
kind of at a
neither
point in the
good
game
nor evil.
where
How may I help you?
um, we don't really have that as part of the game as much as like I think we is as we really could. We don't um, when we kind of look at these and a lot of these additive properties, and there's things like pluses skills, and we're kind of going back a little. It's like we took about a halfway step back in towards the right direction of what we want our itemization to really look like, or how of what the itemization should look like. But you know, there's still some potential there for them to be able to accomplish what they're hoping to accomplish. Ah, motherfucker. Okay.
I need more spirit.
But just being able to, once resistances get fixed, I you know, I just think there are some ways that they can go about it. And I'm just gonna keep an open mind, and I'll see. But I don't think the itemization is boring in this game per se. I do think that they kind of just give better balance to what they got, and I think that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to get, um, you know, vulnerable to powerful mechanic, and it should be like, hey, can I balance my resistances between like skill damages versus being able to, but armor is all you got. But I should be able to just like, here, throw my resistances on a couple of pieces of gear, and then focus on that. It's a little give and take, and then I think that you can enhance. And once you get the itemization and like how your stats and stuff work, and make it a lot more, premium. Now you can your legendaries and the kind of items that you can drop suddenly can matter a lot because some legendaries and because in Diablo 2 there were some legendary rune words where I mean you look at the list of the things that they added to your character, it was like freaking like 20 things. Well, I mean, okay, I'm exaggerating it, but there was like maybe a list of like 8 or 9 things extra that thing would add on to your character. So I think those are the kind of things that they really need to take into consideration when they're thinking about, hey, like let's look at how our itemization works. There's a lot of potential there, and I think it's some good low hanging fruit. I understand that these things take time, and maybe because you're gonna have to go back and you're gonna have to really code a lot of things that are and rebalance it against other things in the game. And that's okay. And if they're working 2, 3 seasons ahead or whatever at a time, then go ahead and do that. That means that you should have more than ample amount of time. And I'm thinking if you're getting that in like say like a season 3, which is probably not going to be until next year, and that could be a huge overhaul to the game, and you can do stuff like that without really having to worry about um, really messing up the flow. But in the short term, give them some solo self-found and 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 that sort, and then I think we're gonna have a really, really, really good game. But it's a little bit of time. I just think everybody who expects the game to be great right now today, and Path of Exile is the game of comparison. I just don't really find that to be very fair because Path of Exile had a very, 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 Path of Exile was not this great, super deep game from the get-go. Um, I mean, at least from a feature standpoint, the itemization was there from the beginning for sure because, what I'm saying, they built it around, what Diablo 2 was,
which obviously, you know, hey, I mean, you know, they say, what is it, like, imitation is the ultimate form of flattery, whatever the fuck they used to say. So, I mean, when you watch the game, it's real obvious that they, you know, they took a lot of components out of that, and ain't nothing wrong with that. And they just added features over time. We're comparing a brand new game to a game that's only been, you know, only been out for a month. Um, so we'll see. Well,
I
while I
need to
teleport
rest
back to
here.
town, which it apparently says I can't do that because the game has to figure out that I've actually passed the dungeon. Okay, thank you, Diablo. Actually, yeah, we're gonna go back out here to the front. I don't know if I like the XP amount that I got with this one. We might go back to our mercies, but well, we'll teleport back to town and then, um, yeah, we'll teleport back to town. Now I'm gonna go let my dog back in so he won't be mad at me. Be right back. All right, we're back. All right, we're gonna plug in my technology. Whew, okay. All right. It's a little warm in here. Let's see. We're gonna clean all that. So what we're gonna do? Um, looks like somebody may want to join. So, but probably gonna go back and do some Mercy's Reach. I mean, it would be nice to get him in the mix because having him in the mix get the XP bonus. And while plus we clear these dungeons a lot faster, and we might be able to do the push. But he also is really shitty when it comes to timing. Don't tell him I said that, but we're gonna try to bring him in. So, um, he said he's about to be on. He may not be on though. It says, yeah, we're having some issues with. So he may be on, but it might just be hard to see it. Okay, so I see it on there. So yeah, he may not be on yet. Okay. Well, we're gonna just dart over here to our Mercy's Reach. They also need to fix the bugs on this. They definitely need to fix the bugs with this.
Shouldn't have to reset the map. It's a lot of small stuff, but those things are minor nuances and stuff. But yeah, going back to my point. I just don't know why we're taking time. And if you want to, I don't think there would have been a version of this game that they released, that they would have released at any time that you would have been like, hey, this game has as much content and features and feels comparable to Path of Exile. I just don't know if that's a very fair thing to do. The game already does have more features and things to do than, say, Diablo 2. You know, um, again, the one thing I feel like Diablo 2 still has over this game is the actual itemization, which obviously at the core of any ARPG, that's the most important component, which I understand. Ah man, I may not get these. Yeah, these are hard to handle solo. Okay, I did get it. Cool. Okay, cool. I'm gonna smack the Devourer souls here. That was not part of the thing. Okay, did I get my Greater Radiant chest? I did. Cool. Now that one gave me some good XP. That was a nice little XP bump. So that, along with the dungeon, we may hit our 37 here on this run. I said the goal was to get to 40 today. And we probably would have made it to 40 if I didn't take the hour hiatus, but I really needed that break and was really tired. Really tired, but need to push through and take care of some stuff so that way when I do get real life tired, I can just, close the door and call it good. I think another topic that that I'm willing, I'm hoping that they look at and explore with everything is going to be, will they put in uh, uh, let me see. I don't know. I talk about the identity crisis thing like that, but I do think that the game, if it's going, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell people, like, the whole idea of shared player activities in the open world and all that stuff like that's just not gonna go away. And I don't think that the hardcore people that are mad about there not being a solo self-malware like that is asking for that. I think though, if it's obvious that this is something that they want to have to be a core important aspect to their game. And I do think that having like 3-man content, like a 3-man dungeon, like a 3-man raid, where you need to have that in there. I think that it would help expand their social features, because now that gives them an opportunity to say, hey, here's some content that you need to do. You need multiple people collaborate, and maybe your clan can go in there and do it. I don't know how you do it, but and how it could be done. I mean, there's a way, and I think it can be executed in a way. As long as you don't make it like required content to progress, and it's got to be like, okay, well, I can't do whatever without this. Just kind of like how like PvP is optional. You don't you get everything you need, and you need to take care of everything you need without participating in a PvP if you don't want to. And most people still play these games solo. Most people don't like to party up and have big groups when they do this stuff anyway. Um, but I think it would be something that'd be really nice to see in this game. Why'd they put the dudes over here? It's a really weird spot for this. Very weird spot for that, but I guess.
But yeah, raids or maybe like a small dungeon. Um, instead of just having like world bosses that just pop up on rotation, but integrate that into some good, interesting in-game content. Maybe you have like a labyrinth type system. I think subclasses work fantastic in this game. Like, if they ripped that straight out of the book from Path of Exile, I don't think anybody would complain. Instead of earn a subclass by completing like a very difficult dungeon. Maybe that dungeon can be a um, multiplayer thing if you don't want it to just be like, oh, you can't die while doing this. Give it a unique challenge. And that reward is, being able to lock another component of your class, or merge components of classes together. Where you can get like different, types of skill, builds. Because once you start hybriding stuff together, you can kind of create some cool stuff. The lore of it, kind of being another one of them D&D inspired things, and like one is that I cannot talk today. I'm sorry, but being like a D&D inspired type of game where the classes fall perfect into that fantasy lore. We got our barbarians, we got our druids, we got our sorcerers. You know what I'm saying? And all that kind of stuff. And I think that that's a perfect platform um, where there's some other things. I mean, we look at Baldur's Gate. I haven't really looked too deep into Baldur's Gate and the type of classes and subclasses that are available in that, but I just think. But then that's a whole different set of content. But there are some things that are separate. Maybe like you know if you want to build it into the lore of Diablo, maybe your paladin can be a crusader. Or, I don't know. Or, if when it gets to that point, we all know that the paladin's going to be the next class to introduce to the game. There's going to be a paladin in Diablo 4, and it's going to happen. I'm not even aggregating this and saying it, but it would just be kind of dumb not to have that at some point in the game. It's going to happen. It may be a year from now, but maybe they'll announce it later this year. I don't know. They still do BlizzCon, right? Maybe they'll do that and be like, hey, like Paladin coming with Legend of the Damned, Ah, shit, Diablo's back to fuck shit up. Be a Paladin, Stuff like that. And that might be, the thing that we're currently looking to right now in the game. So, I think the possibilities they're endless. I think they got a good canvas. I mean, people are just mad about. I mean, we're mad about nerfs and builds and numbers and that kind of stuff. I think if there's the singular thing that I think people would probably be the most discontent with is just giving them more ways to play. If you give them more content to rip through and all that kind of stuff, and you do all that in the short term, then guess what? People are going to be happy, and people will be more willing to wait for all your other 15 million, dollar fixes that you're trying to put into the game. Like, I think that is going to be a very key thing for them going forward, is just making sure that they continue to give you new things to do. Because if you don't give them new things to do, people are going to get bored and people are going to get tired, and maybe that's okay. You take a break. But if you're going to make this game quote unquote live service, you got to give people things to do. Um, you know, it's a different. It is a oh wow, the staff. I bet it's a one-hander. I need like a good two-hand staff right now to drop for me. And they're not giving me the goods. This axe got good TBS. Stun, crowd control, core. This might be it. This mace is vault. Nah, it's got distance. Stun, close, and willpower. Nope. Nope. Then we got, nope. Here's this mace. Nope.
Nope.
You can take what's left.
Then I think this is all the other stuff that we have.
You can take what's left.
This has potential, and then these are worthless gems that we can get rid of. Can you sell gems? Can you sell these? Well, we need to break these down. We need to do it the way the game wants us to. I guess these break down into the right material that we need to craft more of these down the road. Because you can't craft these gems. Right. I don't know what these things break down into. Yeah, you get ichor. Well, I've already am using one, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this Pekana heart. And then we're just going to keep on pushing. We might be able to run a couple more of these. I don't know, this is taking a little bit longer than I thought. I have a very hyper animal that's in here right now. Not good boots. Shred and tornado. Yeah. But just a thought, kids. These are just some of my ideas that I think that they could use to greatly improve the content of the game and things that we could do like to get taken care of. Like to take care of the people and I don't know. I think like if season 1 would have had maybe a much more um, dynamic season mechanic, but I think this whole like, we're just using gems, and I mean, yeah, they did add in another Uber boss, I guess. I mean, a lot of people haven't gotten that far and really discovered it yet. That's not just Uber Lilith. I think once we, get through all of that content, people discover that. I think it'll pick up, but they could have done better. But it was really obvious that this was already done when they released the game. I think they were looking at what fixing the game, the beta and alpha. I mean, they did two, they did two betas or open betas, things like that to kind of figure out a lot of this stuff. But I think it is very difficult to judge a game in its first 25 levels and try and get this data for builds. Like, I just thought that was like a really tough thing for them. Not sure why they did it that way. Um, I don't know. And maybe it would have just been better to just get a bunch of grab like 100. And I think a guy talked about this, how some games they do just have like their own private, like a test group basically. That's probably the people, a diverse group of people from the community. And, maybe they rotate these people out every so often. And, you know, and we see what goes. Oh my gosh. This, I have a very annoying dog right now. This may have to be our last one, because I really don't know what this dog wants me to do. It's really obvious that it's not him wanting to um, go outside, because he would have gone outside and played. Or he hears me talking and thinks I'm just talking to people, because normally I don't talk this much when I'm playing. When I am playing, I'm a little more quiet. And so maybe he just thinks like he must be talking to somebody that's doing stuff. So I don't know what he's really excited about, but actually this kind of lines up perfectly with my gameplay cycle. We'll have been on not quite an hour. I wanted to play for a whole hour, but and we probably still could. I don't know what his problem is, but you probably can hear him whining in the background.
I must wait a moment.
Sometimes you just gotta ignore them and not just give them what they want. Yeah, I said good boss damage right now. said, we should be able to get, yeah, we'll get him stunned here in a second. We'll wait for all our cooldowns. So I'm just going to smack him like this.
I must wait a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, once we're able to roll some high crit on this thing. But we got to get to the next level of gear. Okay, so we leveled up. We're at 37. Yeah, we definitely would have hit our 40 mark today if we would have done that. So yeah, we're in a good spot. All right. Another drink of water. I really haven't really had to pursue really many aspects, you know. Um, Nothing really, not yet. I probably will put the defensive one for the capstone. Honestly, I probably could do the capstone at level 40 with how good this build is actually running right now. Um, let's see what we got. Yeah, none of these are good anyway, so I mean I could go and break these down.
Arms for the light.
Hey, it sounds like he may have calmed down for a little bit. What is this? Yeah, sounds stupid. Alright, let's look for... I mean, you might just be getting excited when I sound very declarative. Um, we haven't went through and unlocked some waypoints in certain parts of the map, so we could do a quick like map run to a few other waypoints. And then, well, I think we got everything over here. Most things over here. Mainly it's like the top of the map and areas up here that we haven't went out here and discovered. So I could go from this town again. And then if we have a couple of world events, or a couple of events, then we can attack those because those are going to be nice, quick XP, and it takes us 2 minutes to get a big chunk of it for completing them. And honestly, those are some great ways to get levels.
Do that here.
So
Not while I'm in charge.
I haven't really done the strongholds neither. But I guess the strongholds would be good for the renown. People are using the strongholds to level up. I for one don't really find I don't know. The strongholds themselves are fun things to do, but I think trying to use them, trying to complete them to level, I don't know if that's just a really I just rather run like the dungeons themselves. Okay.
Not while
Well,
I'm
I was hoping to run into a an event or two here, but
I cannot do that here.
maybe not. Go ahead and get these going. Travel the map. I don't know if these actually transfer to other. I don't think the waypoints actually transfer to other characters, but the renown does. I think that should be something. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they handle renown. Um, Going forward. I don't hate the system. It gives you a reason to mess around in the open world. Um, and I think that's good.
I need more time.
But maybe it's like a redundant task over and over again. Like, it's kind of like seeing it once, seeing it all. Unless, there's just new renowned tasks. But I'm kind of surprised that that's a feature that has been not as popular. Like people haven't been as big of a fan of the renown as I think even they would have thought. I think they were very proud of this open world format, and they're they're embrace it. I think that's where
I cannot do
that's going to be kind of a good thing. Like people were mad about the nightmare. I for one didn't really like the nightmare dungeon change where it's like, hey, you got to teleport. You know, you can teleport directly to the nightmare dungeons. Cause people are like, oh, well, now I got to teleport and run to it. And it looks like we're getting our weird slowdown thing that happens randomly when we play. Oh no, right there as an event shows up. Okay, so you know, all right. So what that means is this is a perfect time for us to go ahead and exit out of here. So, all right, I was going to go for another 5 minutes just to randomly talk, but I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. Probably won't do another thing on stream for the rest of the day. And so just take care, and I'll talk to you guys later.